It snows in Idaho. Who knew? We've been having fairly mild winters here for about the past 3, 4, 5 years, and there has been an endless string of U-Hauls leaving California headed straight to Idaho. Well, this year it wasn't a mild winter. I've seen down to 0 already, and I mean we've had snow that's 2, 3, 4 feet deep. How much you want to bet this spring that there's going to be an endless string of U-Hauls headed right back to California? Good riddance. All right, so here's the thing about that. When there's snow, we can't shoot. I mean, when there's snow, when there's mud, you know, it just makes it really hard on us. And I guess I should have started out mentioning that we shoot every gun we build. So what happens then in a winter like this, whenever there's snow up to your butt? Well, the deal is the guns stack up, and that's what you're seeing right here. You're seeing a lot of really nice guns that have not been fired yet because we just, I mean, as you saw, I mean, the snow's deep, and it's been a heck of a lot deeper. It's actually starting to recede a little bit right now, but I mean, there was days when we were chaining up all 4 wheels just to haul hay over to our horses. And by the way, you saw those hay bales on the truck. I mean, that hay bale is supposed to weigh 1,500 pounds. That one we just dropped off probably weighs 16. So, you know, you got chains on all 4 wheels, you got 1,600 pounds in the bed, and you're still getting stuck. That's a lot of snow. So, you can't shoot. All right, so the guns stack up, and I want to show these to you. But there's another part to this, and you're going to have to read between the lines here, because remember, this is poo tube. So on poo tube, you can and can't say certain things, and you're going to have to read between the lines of what I'm saying here, and there could be really good opportunity here for someone. So the title of this video is going to be How to Capitalize on Other People's Ineptitude. I'll say that again. How to capitalize on other people's ineptitude. All right, so we're going to, again, you're going to have to read between the lines. So we're going to go down here, and again, all these guns have not been fired, right? They're all brand new. This is a 30 Nosler. It is set up for 245 grain Berger VLDs. It is the first one that I've built for 245s, and it is not finished. It's not ready to shoot anyways. Actually, you could shoot it, but it still has to be, I have to bed the trigger guard, everything has to be bead blasted, and everything has to be Duracoated. So it has a ways to go yet. It is, like I said, 30 Nosler, set up for 245 BLDs. It has a 341 neck in it. That is a BAT HR solid bottom single shot. Gee, you've never heard that from me before. It has, like I said, 341 neck. It might take factory ammo. You'd have to measure it. It has a Bartlein 1 in 9.3 in it. And something else that we want to talk about here is we're starting to go to all non-standardized barrels. So without getting too deep into this, you know, barrels are at the breech, inch 200, inch 250, inch 300, then whatever you want after that because they're custom order. Well, I don't know if I've ever built a gun on an inch 200. There's simply not enough lockup, not enough shoulder area on the receiver barrel junction. But in the beginning, I used a lot of barrels that were inch 250. And obviously the gun shot. I mean, the gun shot, and they shot pretty darn good. But what I started to notice is when I went to inch 300, inch 325, inch 350, it seemed like the gun shot better yet. So we've been pretty much special ordering all our barrels. This barrel is inch 300 at the breech, and it measures .802 at the muzzle. And so I'm actually going to hold it up here and show it to you. Nice gun. Like I said, it's not completely done. I haven't bedded the bottom metal yet. This is a custom-made escutcheon, single shot. I don't have the bolt stop in or anything. You know, there's work to be done. No trigger or anything in it yet. But nice gun. But we haven't got to shoot it yet, and even if it was done, just because of the weather. So that's that. Now, again, remember the title of this. How to capitalize on other people's ineptitude. This is one of them. All right, so this is also a 30 Nosler. It is a 343 neck in it. It will take factory ammo. It's set up for Berger 210s. And guys always ask, well, it's set up for 210s, so could I shoot 200s? Well, yes. Could I shoot 220s? Yes. I mean, it depends on the twist, a bunch of different things, but, you know, you could drop the whole way back to 180s, 190s, 200s, 210s, 215 burgers, probably. By the time you got to 230 burgers, probably not. This is a Brux 1 and 11. By the way, I told you that was a Bartland. All the barrels now are almost exclusively Krieger, Bartland, Brux. That's what we're using, because that, I won't say that's the best barrels, but in my opinion, that's the best barrels. And so that's what we use. So this has a 1 and 11 on it. This is also inch 300 to 750 at the muzzle. And you might notice this has a brake on it. That's a Harl's brake. This is a Bat HR. It is a right-hand repeater. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you that. This is Hawkins bottom metal. That is a Huber 2-stage, which I know I repeat myself, but these things are so nice. Watch this. So you put your finger on there, you pull that thing halfway back, and I mean, you can't even hardly feel it. And then it comes to a hard wall, bam. And I mean, it is so cool. So anyways, this is a really nice gun. 30 Nosler, 343 neck, Bat HR. With a brake. And again, look at this brake. I don't know if you can see this stuff in the camera. Look. Again, tell me, where is that brake put on? And you want to know something? I can't find it myself. When you get to machining that's at a point where you cannot tell at all where two pieces of metal come together, pretty decent. All right, really nice gun. Okay, now, here's the thing about this gun. And you got to really think about the process. So when a guy orders a gun, the way it generally works is, a guy calls me up. A guy calls me up. 100 guys call me up, and they say, I want a Super 30 Magnum, hubcap blaster, whatever. And I say, okay. And they say, I want this receiver and this stock and all this stuff. And you know what I say? Send a deposit. I say, send a deposit. You know why? Because of those 100 people that call up and say they want a 30 mega blaster, about 3 or 4 or 5 is actually really going to follow through on it. So they send me a deposit. Now, you got to realize, when they send a deposit, the first thing I do, usually within a day or two, at a week at the most, is I start ordering stuff. I order a Bat receiver. I order a Macmillan stock. I order a Brux barrel. I order the Huber triggers. I order the bottom metal. You got to understand that on a gun like this, right here that we're looking at, just the components are about $4,000. Now, I didn't stop and figure it out, but we could go over it quickly, but about $4 grand. Well, usually the deposit will not even begin to cover the parts. So I have a lot of money in these guns. And here's the next thing about that is, so immediately, as soon as I get the deposit, I start ordering everything. All of it comes. I have to pay for it, all right? Now here's the interesting thing about that. When things start to show up, which sometimes is a long time, it depends what it is. The industry's been really weird. So you might wait on a receiver. You might wait 4 months. You might wait 8 months on a barrel. Bartland's quoting a year behind right now. A year on a barrel. Okay, a stock. Stocks could be 2 or 3 months behind. They might be 4, 5, 6 months behind. Okay, so here's the deal. So a guy calls up. He sends a deposit. We order everything. It could be, let's just use a round number. It could be 6. 6 months till everything starts to show up. Now he's had 6 months, right? So now say the barrel shows up first. Well, one of the things we try to do with all our customers is we either email them or we call them and say, well, your barrel showed up. Well, now why do we do that? We're giving them a heads up. All right, so there's a barrel. And then say the stock shows up next. And we'll call them or email them. And we say, well, your stock is here now. Okay. Giving them a heads up. And then finally say the receiver shows up. And we're like, we have all your components. We're going to be starting on your gun in a week. Because usually once everything's here, I'm on it pretty quick. I don't like a backlog, okay? My backlog is component driven only. It's not my work ethic driven because, I'll be here 20 hours a day sometimes. And I will get it done. So I know guys have been waiting. But here's the thing about it. So it's been 6-8 months since they sent a deposit. Now the stuff has started to show up, and we've been giving them plenty of heads up, plenty of warning. Your barrel's here, everything's here, right? It's coming. Now I'm starting on the gun. And one of the things I'm really, really really good about doing is once I start on the gun, I almost give them updates every day. So I'll be like, okay, well, the barrel's in the lathe. I've indicated everything in. Next day, I've turned a tenon, I've threaded it. You know, I keep them, I chamber it, and I'll send them an email so that they know that I'm getting close to being finished. And then when it's finished, we send them an email that says, we are finished, and my wife will be sending you an invoice soon, right? That usually means within a couple of days, she's going to send them an invoice. All right, so she sends off the invoice. Now, there's two types of things that happen. In a 2, 3, 4, 5 days, a check shows up in the mail with a thank you, and they're waiting on me, say in the winter, they're waiting on me to shoot it, and then they're either coming here to pick it up, or we're going to ship it to their receiving FFL dealer. All right, but there's another option. They just don't pay for it. They just don't pay for it. And it makes me, it doesn't even make me angry, it makes me disappointed, and that word's really good, ineptitude. So you've had 6, 8 months, maybe even a year warning to get ready, to know that your gun's going to be finished, and we're going to need paid for it, okay? And it comes time, you send the invoice, and really two things happen. Either they're honest enough to just say, well, I don't have the money, or, and this really bothers me, they do a disappearing act. They become a ghost. Suddenly they're Ethan Hunt. Uh-oh, you can't see me, okay? You know, they're looking for me in Cuba, but no, I'm really in France. No, all communication just stops. They get the invoice. You can't reach them by email anymore. It's funny, you could get them every single day up to that. You call their phone, it always goes to voicemail. They're just gone. They just ghost you. So they owe you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You can't find them. Okay, well, guess what? Guess what? You could capitalize on their ineptitude. Look here, really nice, okay? So that's that one. Now, same story, really nice 7 mag. I mean, this thing is, that's just, how can you get a more beautiful gun than that? Okay, that is, and I'll pick it up here and show you in a second. That is a Macmillan A5 adjustable cheek with thumb wheel, adjustable length of pull with the aluminum spacers. This is a BAT HR repeater right hand. This is Hawkins detachable box magazine with an AI box in it that will actually take 7 mag. It'll fit in there, even with 180s. With the Huber trigger in it, this is a Brux 1 in 9. This actually is a tight barrel. This is 276 by 284. It measures 1.3 at the breech, 0.910 at the muzzle. And again, it has a brake on it. By the way, all these barrels are cryoed, all right? This is non-fluted. These are all cryoed. And again, I want you to just see this gun. I can't wait to shoot this thing, all right? Holy cow. Just look at that thing. The only way that you get higher quality than this is, you're getting guns from like the Custom Gun Builders Guild that's all wood and all blue, and the dang gun costs $50,000 to $100,000. But this thing, it is nice. It is nice. And his ineptitude, you could capitalize on, because he did the Ethan Hunt routine. Oh, gee, you mean it's time to pay for it? Oh well. See you later. All right, so there's that really nice gun. Now, this one is a responsible customer, all right? This is not available in any way, shape, or form. It is, again, I gotta pick my words, because remember, it's poo tube. It is completely, the deal is done, let's say that. It's completely done, everything's taken care of, they've been good to work with. This is one of 2 33XCs. And I showed this before, but it was a different video. So that's a 33XC. This is a 338 Lapua case. Hopefully you can see it here. I'm going to lay them down. Maybe she can come in and see that. All right, this is an impressive cartridge. It just is. So I ran some numbers on X-Ball, which X-Ball is the old ballistics program we used to use. We use applied ballistics also, but I got to tell you, man, did I like X-Ball. But the problem is he died. He died, and we have the copy that we have on our computer, and that's it. When that computer ever dies, we have no way, I don't think, of switching it to another one. But I like X-Ball. Really good program. And I'll come back to the gun in a second. So I want you to think about something here. This is a 300 grain burger going, we don't know for sure yet, because obviously I haven't taken it out and shot it, but from everybody else's experience, because other people were building these, at least 3,200 feet a second. 3,200 feet a second with a 300 grain bullet. Now I want to stop here and I want to say something, because we started into this, you know, these guns are here because I can't go shoot. Now this is pretty interesting, because this is Lewiston, Idaho. Within 10 miles of where I'm standing that I'm aware of, there are three underground regular shooting ranges, tunnels, 3 actual shooting tunnels that were designed for shooting underground within 10 miles of where I'm standing. Now here's the interesting thing. We haven't been invited to shoot on any of them, but even if we were, they're all privately owned. Even if we were, I don't really know that I would want to, because of cartridges like this. You got to realize most of the cartridges I deal with are 7 mags, 300 Winchesters, 30 nozzlers, 28 nozzlers, now 338 Lapua. Do I like building 6BRs? You bet. I absolutely do. 6XCs, 6XC, you know, realize that's a sister cartridge. These are David Tubb cartridges. I like 6XC. That is a good cartridge with 105s. Shooting that stuff, 223s, all that kind of stuff in a tunnel, no big deal. Shoot this in a tunnel? I don't know. Because here's the thing. And I printed this out. So this cartridge with the 300 grain burgers, let's just say that it's running at 3,200 feet a second, and I put in all of our information. So 3,000 feet, 59 degrees temperature, 50% humidity, etc., etc. It doesn't matter. But just get this. At the muzzle, 6,820 foot-pounds of energy. That's almost 7,000 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. Now you want to get your brain completely scrambled. At 400 yards, 5,141 foot-pounds of energy. 5,000 pounds at 400 yards. You want to really, really fry your brain. It doesn't drop down it crosses the 3,000 foot-pound threshold at 1,100 yards. 1,100 yards. 3,000 foot-pounds of energy. It does not cross the 2,000 foot-pound of energy till it gets to 1,550 yards. At 1,550, it is still packing 2,069 foot-pounds of energy. Well, you got to realize, this thing has more energy at 1,000 yards than a 30-06 with, say, a 180 grain bullet has at the muzzle. So if you put the muzzle up against fur and pulled the trigger, this has more energy than that at 1,000 yards. I mean, so anyways, I don't want to get off track. So even if we were invited to shoot in those tunnels, I do not know if their backstops could withstand this. Because I got to tell you something. One of the places we used to shoot a lot, if you go way back on our videos and our pictures, we used to shoot at a farm where a guy had your typical farm junkyard right out where we were shooting. So there's old tractors and combines and, you know, mowing machines and all kind of stuff. Steel, right? Farmers need steel because when something breaks, you got to fix it. Well, anyways, they had a lot of pieces of just all kind of regular soft steel, right? It's not T1 or it's not AR or any of that. It's just steel. But I remember that we took a chunk of steel up there. I think it was off of a bridge, like a bridge cross member. It was 1 inch thick. 1 inch thick. And we were shooting 300 grain burgers out of a regular 338 Lapua at about 2850, as I recall. And we set that thing up there just to shoot it. We were done shooting targets and we were just having fun. It was at 500 yards. 500 yards was a piece of steel. I mean, the piece of steel was about this big. You could barely carry it, okay, to get it up there. I'm not talking about a serious hunk of metal. And you know that after we shot at that thing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, we got up there and looked at it, they were going through it. It was punching discs out the back of that plate about the size of a quarter, perfectly round disc, punched right through that steel, an inch, obviously, of mild steel. But holy cow, so if you took this, depending on what they had, how their range was designed, if you took something like this in a tunnel, I don't know if their backstops would hold up to this, but we don't get to shoot there anyways. Here's the deal. All these guns are here because it's been serious real winter here and we can't shoot. Now one of these days here, it's gonna start to break, it's melting already, and we're gonna get to go out and shoot, and it's gonna be awesome because we have all these guns to shoot. The deal is we need a camera person because, you know, a lot of times when we go to shoot this many guns, we'll stay over, we sleep out. So it's long days. It could be 10, 12, 14-hour days. To get 4 of these guns shot, it might be 2 full days, easy, depending on how it goes. Anyways, I want you to show you this gun though. Like I said, this is an actual customer gun. All taken care of, he's just waiting. So this is, what is this? This is a Macmillan A3. It has just a single, not thumb wheel, I forget, they call that clamp bar, right? Clamp bar adjustable cheek piece. I kind of like that because it's quick. You can just loosen it and just pull it right off. I don't want to because I might have trouble getting it back in, but you can move it easy. Okay? This is Bat HR solid bottom single shot. Obviously, look at the size of this cartridge, okay? You're not going to put that in a repeater. Now here's what's neat about this. I'm going to close this. Again, Huber trigger, 2-stage. So I hope you can see this. Comes back, hits the hard wall, and that's only 16 ounces on there. Comes back, hits the hard wall. It's supposed to be 16 ounces more till it breaks. Can't prove it by me. It feels like nothing. Okay, now look at this. Instead of 1 escutcheon, 2 escutcheons. So this receiver has 1, 2, 3/4 28 bolts holding it down. And I want to show, and I'm actually doing this for the guy that owns this or anybody that builds these. There is an angle on this stock, right? It's tapering through here and then it comes up. So when you put this escutcheon in, it's no big deal. You can get this leading edge of it, get the leading edge to come perfectly flush, and everything looks great because the back of it is in this recess where this goes up a hill, right? The problem is that this is on an angle, so that when you put this escutcheon in, it is literally physically impossible to have it set in there exactly flush. Because if it was flush on one side, it would be below on the other. Or if it's high on this side, it's low on that side. Because, and this is kind of important, the bolt actually needs to pull 90 degrees to the receiver. So you can't have the bolt going in like this or going like this. If you could do either one of these things, then you could get the escutcheon itself to match up and be flat with the receiver. But it is very important that the bolt pulls 90 degrees to the receiver. So, you know, it's as best as you can possibly do. Let's just say that. And, you know, I obsess over stuff like that. But the truth is, if I hadn't just shown you or shown him, most people never even notice. I notice, though, and that's part of the curse of obsessive compulsive disorder. It's like, you know, like these trigger guards. I mean, I want to be able to run my finger across there, and I don't really want to feel it. In other words, like this one, there's maybe 1 thou right there, and like here at the back, this one's perfect. By the way, and I mentioned this earlier, I bed all my bottom metal gets bedded, which almost nobody does that anymore. Just a very small handful of guys are working to that level. I don't know, I just like things perfect. So anyways, again, really, really nice gun. Look at the brake on this. Same thing, you can't tell. You cannot tell, and look at the muzzle on it too. You might notice that I put an 11 degree on my muzzles also. So this muzzle, it's all done in one setup in the lathe. So everything is turned, you know, your tenon's turned, your threads are turned, it's installed, then it's bored, B-O-R-E-D, I've mentioned that before, to get it to the right diameter, and then all your outside work is done. Everything's turned here, putting your angle on it, then putting your 11 degree on it, and breaking this edge, and blah, 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 blah. A whole bunch of dang stuff. I mean, almost never can I install a brake in 1 day. 1 day. And I mean, that's why we don't make any money. I mean, that's just, and that's also, though, that I should, coming back to these ones that haven't been paid for, you got to realize, you don't have to realize, but try to realize, sometimes, you know, we have 10 receivers. 10 receivers and 10 barrels and 10 stocks and 10 triggers, and let me tell you, it adds up. It seriously adds up. When the parts, you know, the components are $4,000 per gun, and you're talking about 10 of them, all that have to be paid for. So when one is done, we expect to be paid for it. We expect to be paid for it, whether we've shot it or whether we haven't, because the only reason we haven't shot it's because we can't. And here's the other thing. So I know some people will say, like, well, couldn't you just give it to them? Yes, we could just give it to them. But if I give a person a gun, this is actually very important, if we shipped it to them, or if they came here to take physical possession of the gun without me shooting it, how would I ever know whether it was a good barrel or whether it was a bad barrel? Because remember, we've talked about this on barrels. Someday we're going to do a whole entire barrel talk. But, and I'm not picking on Krieger. I love Krieger. Guys, we love you. But Krieger makes thousands of barrels every year. So in them thousands of barrels, there's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 that are totally awesome. Like, those are Hummer barrels in Tony Boyer language. Okay, those are barrels that are capable of shooting in the zeros or the ones, definitely the low twos. I'm talking about 2/10 of an inch. Okay, but then in those thousands and thousands of barrels, there's going to be a group here on a continuum. There's going to be a group in the middle that are really, really good barrels, and they're capable of, say, shooting in the mid twos, the high twos, low threes, the high threes, maybe 4/10 of an inch, somewhere right in that range, right? Okay, all those barrels are acceptable. But what you have to understand is, way over here, down on the opposite end of the Hummer barrels, there's going to be 1 or 2 or 10 or 100, depending on how many, that simply won't shoot. And when I say won't shoot, to me, that means at 100 yards they shoot an inch. They put 3 shots in an inch. And there's so much about barrels. Again, we'll have a barrel talk, but that's not acceptable. You know, I want to see an inch, 3 or 5 shot groups, an inch at 400 yards. When it'll put 3 or 5 in an inch consistently at 400 yards, then it's a good barrel. Now here's the thing, hunt around on our website. We have had barrels that would shoot 5-shot groups at 400 yards, just a hair over a 1/4 of an inch. And you know what? Truthfully, those barrels are beyond my capability. I can't shoot that good, okay? But when you sit down and put up a target at 400 yards and you punch 5 shots in there, and let's just say the group's half an inch, and 4 of those bullets almost went through the same hole, that is an awesome barrel. Does it mean the gun was built properly? Absolutely. Everything has to be perfect. But what it means is you had an awesome barrel. Okay, now you take that same gun, but a different barrel, a different gun, different barrel. You set up a target, say at 400 yards, you go out and shoot. Now it shoots 2 inches. It shoots 2 inches at 400 yards. Well, the truth is, there are people that would be thrilled with that. Not me. I'm not one. If it shoots 2 inches at 400 yards, to me, that's a bad barrel. All right, the only way that I can have control over that is to take them out and shoot them. So say that this individual right here, he wanted to come here right now and just take the gun and go out the door. Okay, he can do that if he wants. But at the moment he walks out that door, I no longer have control over anything. I don't know what scope he's using. I don't know how he reloads. I don't know how he shoots. I don't know what he's shooting off of. I don't know his setup. I don't know his skill level. I don't know anything. All I know is he went out the door with that gun and I didn't shoot it. So now if he calls me up a month later and says, this gun shoots 4 inches at 400 yards, you know what I'm going to be like? Well, gee, you should have let me shoot it. And that's it. That's our guarantee. We shoot them. And you don't get it unless it shoots the way I want it to shoot. So anyways, don't forget how to capitalize on other people's ineptitude. Here they are. See ya.